welcome back to Art with Alanis. Last week I showed you how to do a still life by drawing an apple. This week I'm going to show you how to use charcoal. Charcoal that I've given you is very fragile, and if it breaks, that's okay because you can use the broken pieces to also draw with. And it's also very messy, so I'm going to show you how to wash your hands without it getting all over the place. But for now, to the drawing corner. I have given you guys some charcoal, and I've also given you guys some sketching paper. But before you start drawing anything, it's awesome to experiment with charcoal, especially if you're new to using it. When I first got it, I experimented. I was simply scribbling on the paper, trying to figure out what I can do with it. So, with charcoal, because it's black, it goes onto the paper really dark. And the less pressure you apply, the lighter your shades are. Just like with a regular pencil. Now you can use the tip of the charcoal to draw. You can use the side of the charcoal to draw. You could break it in half if you want. Break it into little pieces and use it to draw. What's also really awesome about charcoal is you can use your finger to blend it so it looks smooth. And you see how when I blended it, it actually ended up being lighter than it was when I initially drew it? That's what charcoal does. So it's important, if you want things to look really dark, to keep adding layers. See? It's getting darker. So first, before you draw anything, it's a good idea to play with your new tool that you are learning. To draw your sphere, if you have some tape, you can trace your tape. Just lightly going around the object. Now I'm going to draw a surface for the sphere to sit on. If you have a ruler, you can use a ruler. To draw your surface, I'm going to draw about halfway from the circle. And if you don't have a ruler, you could just freehand it. And now you have the sphere. Now we're going to add our shadows and our lights. Just like in the last video, when I discussed how light hits a certain object, when you're drawing things freehand, you're not really copying off a picture, you can make your light hit wherever. So I'm actually going to make my light come from here. So my shadows are probably going to start going right here. So I'm going to start drawing the shadows. Now I'm going to smear it to spread it out and blend it. And when you're using charcoal, since obviously the charcoal doesn't have an eraser, it's good to have an eraser next to you. Just in case you go over, where you're not supposed to. I'm just going to keep layering onto the shadows because this is going to be one of the darkest spots of where the ball is. Now I'm done with this part for now. Now I'm going to move to underneath the ball. When an object is sitting on something, it usually creates a shadow. And that shadow is usually distorted in some kind of way. So to do that, we're going to just draw kind of like the shape of it, but it is going to be look a little distorted. Also, a cool thing about the physical world is that light reflects onto an object. So there's usually white line of light underneath the object that's sitting on the table. So we're going to leave a space for that. We're going to come back and make it a little bit thinner. I just wanted to leave more room just in case. And now we're just going to add our shadows to the actual ball by starting at the bottom. Be careful when you're using charcoal, like let's say I'm over here, try not to hit what you've actually done because it will come up. And if you put your hand here and you have charcoal on it, it will get all over the place. As you can see, I've got some spots with charcoal, but it's fine with me, but just be careful. And be careful if you do blow, the charcoal may get all over the place, but you can definitely take an eraser if it does get on the piece of paper where you don't want it to get, and erase it. But when you do use your eraser, don't sweep. If you do, if you do sweep, actually, just make sure to be careful not to spread charcoal that you don't want to spread. It's easier just to blow it. Alright, now that I've got my shadows where I want them to be, I'm actually gonna get rid of some of them up here to create more light coming in onto the ball. Maybe give a streak right here. And you could do this by using your eraser. And I want to darken this up a little bit so it doesn't look like it's part of the ball. And create a little bit of shadows over here. And there you go, a sphere. Now when you're done with your art, notice that charcoal will come up. So a really cool trick is take some hairspray and spray your artwork. Even though I sprayed it with hairspray, it is still very fragile. So the best thing to do is place it somewhere where somebody won't bump into it and rub the charcoal everywhere, or just put it in a frame. And as you can see, my fingers are very dirty. But that's okay. I'm going to show you how to wash your hands without it getting all over light switches and doorknobs and anything. First, you need to examine where the charcoal is. As you can see, it's just on my hands because that's what I used. So to open doors, I can use my elbow. Turn on the light, use my elbow. To turn on the sink, you can use your elbow, or you can use like this area where there's no charcoal. I can do it like that. Now I'm gonna wash my hands. Now you got clean hands. Like I said, charcoal is a really cool medium, and it's gonna take some practice. So if you get frustrated, take a break. It's not gonna happen overnight. Next week, I'm going to teach you cross hatching and hatching. Until next time, stay creative.